Good afternoon on what is a mild, grey and overcast day. It is Friday the 6th of January 2023 and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a big box to unbox. So let's get to it. Find out what is in here. There we go, it's coming nicely. So it's quite a big box, it's quite bulky. Right. So I've got lots of things in here. It's not quite open. But it is well packed. And the very first thing I am going to pull it out. Is this package, so I'm going to need to just find out where. Oh yeah. I've got two books in here, but I'm going to pull out one and talk about that one. And that is Cyborg. Or, given that this is from the Stockholm Kartell, is derived from Mörk Borg, should that not be Cyborg? But I actually think it's going to be cyborg as in the cybernetic combination of flesh and metal. So, nano-infested doomsday RPG about cybernetic misfits and punks raging against the relentless corporate hell. And it promises to be Mörk Borg hacked. So yes, this is the latest entry into, well, the range of role-playing games based upon Mörk Borg, and also the range of games based upon the cyberpunk genre, which has seen a bit of a renaissance with the publication of Cyberpunk Red by Örtmästare Games, the prequel to the Cyberpunk 2077 computer role-playing game. And if you've not had a chance to play that, it's very good. So, the first thing that you kind of open up on here is we have a list of tables of names, pocket lint. I always like a good pocket lint table, and infested items tables, and weather done in the vibrant neon, yellow colours that we have come to expect from Mörk Borg. I know some people just find a little too much. But we get into details inside, and exploring the messed up world that they left us, explaining how the world is ending again and again. And this is what the player characters, the cyborgs or the cyborg, are protesting against, campaigning against, and explaining how sort of saying new capitalist rules from the glass towers in Central, immortal OG money aristocrats in gated mansions and gated communities in the gated enclaves of the hills. And this is the threat that kind of essentially this is the threat that the player characters are going to be facing against in the game. And then we've got a breakdown description of the battlefield, essentially the city and its central area, and the forces arrayed against the player characters. Some potentially allies, some are not. But essentially they all have a gold standard, all gold or bronze standard essentially there. I think essentially this is what, these are the threats. They have the money, they have the gold, as it were. They are the enemies, they say. And then it's going to describe each location one by one. So we've got things like Just click over the back of the page. So, central business enterprise zone, ports. You know, always important because essentially they're the points of entry, they're the points of exit. That's where cargo gets transferred, so on. The industries, the slums, all locations where you can set scenes on the water, the hills, essentially where access is denied, of course, for the player characters because they're not wealthy enough. The in-betweens. This is a fantastic looking book. And then okay, you have the negacity, the negative parts, nature of the net, which would be dangerous. I don't even know what that says because I can't read it. It's not a font that I can immediately this is explaining the rules and the system and what's going on. Again, fantastic choice of font from an aesthetic point of view, from a readability point of view. I can't read that. I would literally have to go and look that up elsewhere to find out what it said, because it's not. It's really having to work with anyway. And then the question of at the end of it, are we living in a simulation? Rector Magnificus Professor Dr. Duru Everin at CYU has found proof that the world is a simulation run by unknown entities. Everin could not be reached for further comment. In 12 hours, the simulation resets. Again, is that the whole campaign? Is that sort of like the question of whether or not we are playing in an unreality? And it's a question sort of like that has been asked over and over again in certain circles, in certain discussions of cultural theory. Discussing the unreal nature of the world, and that sort of goes back to sort of before the first Gulf War and beyond, because essentially that's some of that elements I was certainly I was studying and reading about at university, and I found it fascinating, and it's one of the things that kind of sort of like really kind of came up to date and was brought to the fore with the film. I've forgotten the name of the film, with Keanu Reeves, the trilogy that escapes me, that everyone now thinks, that are really cool, that introduced Wire Fu to the wider audience. So you'll know what I mean, even if I can't remember, and it will come to me once I've done the video. So then we get on to character types. We look at how to make your punk. So shunned nanomancer, burned hacker, Matrix, that's the film I'm thinking of, discharged corp killer, orphaned gearhead. So these are kind of cyberpunk mainstay type characters there. Renegade, I can't remember what that says. Anyway, renegade something or other. Death dealer, nerd slasher, something or other. Forsaken gangoon. And then we've got details on basically your building your style and features and so on, making more of what your character looks like, wants, current obsessions, quirks. So you can roll up this, choose and so on, but it's generally more fun to roll because that how does that work together? Let's put it together and find out. Roleplay. Weapons, armor and debt, other equipment. And then drugs, of course, because they're always an element in the setting. You can always make yourself better. If you can't make yourself better mechanically, you can make yourself better chemically, if only for a limited period of time. And then we have a classic kind of picture, statue of a god, you know, here, or you know, almost like, if that's not necessarily, it'd be Zeus or Hercules or someone like that, made more by metal. That's a nice touch. Okay, and then dealing with apps and using them in the game, backlashes for using technology and the dangers of doing so. Infestations, one of the downsides to using this technology, accessing the net, glitches, hit points, emergency body modification, and then combat, handling time, section 5 Game Master here. Show no mercy, they won't. Guards and goons, so this is all the NPCs and threats. Star Raging Menace, Nanomancers, drones, enhanced beasts, because you know you can have, it's just not mankind that can be upgraded, it's also, you know, animals can be upgraded and put to other uses. Side droids, so a bit of a you know, going the other way, sort of cyborgs, freaks, so other dangers, and then other dangers and combat vehicles. Of course, we get on to sort of like the mecha. I mean, not the giant sort of like, you know, 10-meter tall things, but smaller ones that you can use, and that are enough of a threat against your player characters. Ghosts, potential ghosts in the net, and then we have data, which is building tables for adding elements to the game, whether this is to your NPCs, mission generators. So, you know, it's almost random missions, rewards and who promises them, targets, locations, location features, security complications, and so on. You know, you've got the means to create mini adventures. Corporation generators, cult generators, because the threats aren't always corporate. But then again, you know, who's to say there's no interplay between cults and corporations? Random events, so on. More tables for the GM, the Game Master, net events, and then Lucky Flight Takedown, an introductory cyborg heist. So this literally switches, when I get to the end, failed to load content. This switches to a more buff look, and this is written in like a more traditional adventure, where otherwise in Cyborg it's like in Mörk Borg it's more sort of like a dungeoneering exploration kind of thing, and this feels much more like a traditional adventure. Even the layout and the style, you've got tables of random encounters, and you can throw that into the game as general. Heist on the casino floor, and so on. Second floor BOP and balcony, so you've got, you know, a major location there. Basement, so you've got sort of like a location that the player characters can just sort of like, you know, going to be raiding, and then Corp Index at the back for more backgrounds and details of those involved. Before we come to return to the neon yellow pages, index, nice and handy. And then on this, essentially, we've got tables for abilities and tests, getting into trouble, glitches, nano, combat equipment, intrigue, malfunction, and death or they're easy to access by the Game Master. So that is Cyborg from the Kartell, designed, written and published by the Stockholm Kartell, but published by Free League Publishing. So if you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a box containing one or more role-playing games, books or games, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the like button down below. Sorry, the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.